What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So today we're going to take a look and listen to Representative Carrie. He's going to be asking questions of the experts about Social Security reform and a Social Security increase. So that's what we're going to focus on in this video. But first off, you guys can do me a favor. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell notification, and then click all. By clicking all, you'll get notified anytime we post a video. We do daily videos here, so by clicking the bell notification and clicking all, you should be getting updated every day. And just a reminder, thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. And you can also show your support for the channel by joining our membership. Just click the join button below. You'll get customized emojis as well as custom badges. Okay, so let's go ahead and listen to Representative Carrie ask the experts questions about Social Security reform. Here we go.
I want to thank the chairman. I also want to thank the ranking member, as well as the witnesses, for being here today. Since day one, I have been a strong advocate for the strength and integrity of Social Security Trust Fund. Unfortunately, if my numbers are correct, under this budget, if enacted, the administration's budget would cut approximately $17 billion to the Social Security Trust Fund over the next decade. Now, I'm the grandson of a couple that lived only on Social Security, and I watched how they script and saved and tried to do what they could. So, with that being said, I'm dedicated to working with my colleagues both on the Democrat side and Republican side to find some solutions. So, Mr. Gross and Director Swagel, the trustees and the Congressional Budget Office projected that under current law, Social Security's Age-Old and Survivors Insurance Trust Fund would be depleted by 2033. We've established that. At which point, the program will only be able to pay a fraction of the promised benefits. Absent any changes, what percentage of retirement and survivor benefits would be payable after the trust fund is depleted?
So our projections in the latest trustees report indicate that in 2033, the OASI trust fund alone should we reach the point where we do deplete the reserves and have only continuing income coming in, that would cover about 79% at that point of the scheduled benefits that people are expecting.
Director?
Right, and we're just a little bit less than that, so we see the shortfall is a little bit less, but in the same ballpark.
So so how is that projected to change in the years after 2033? Mr. Gross?
After 2033, that percentage will, of course, decline. I know off the top of my head for the total Social Security OESI and DI, that'll drop from 83% eventually down to 73% by the time we get to about 2098. And will be a little bit less than 73% payable for the OESI Trust Fund alone by that time.
Director?
Right, and again, we have the same general result. We see the shortfall is a bit larger, and so the decline in benefits a bit larger, but is broadly similar to what the trustees have.
Thank you both. Mr. Houston, the 1983 amendments were the last time that Social Security saw major program reforms and intended to address the system's funding shortfalls. Can you help us understand how those reforms came to be and what Social Security's finances looked like leading up to those reforms?
Thank you. The 1977 amendments were the previous major reform, and they were estimated to get the program to be solvent for about 50 more years. The economic experience right after that proved to be much worse. In the 1980 trustees report, they highlighted that benefits would be not paid the full scheduled amount in under 2 years. Later in 1980, Congress passed a temporary reallocation of the payroll tax from the disability program to the old age and survivors insurance program. Later in 1981, as the situation continued to deteriorate, Congress authorized interfund borrowing, and President Reagan established what became known as the Greenspan Commission. The Commission's report included provisions that would have resolved about 2/3 of the projected shortfall and became the basis for the 83 amendments. Congress later added several more provisions which covered about the remaining 1/3 of the shortfall. And when it passed in March, April of '83, it was estimated that the OASI program was months, if not weeks, away from being able to pay the full amount of scheduled benefits.
Thank you.
So very important to note here, they waited until the last minute the last time. So back in 1983, they had a little, they knew about 2 years from now we're going to be looking at a shortfall if they do nothing. And so what they did is they just kind of kicked the can down the road by these different little provisions that they put in place just to keep the funding going, but they didn't solve the problem by reforming Social Security until 1983. And at that time, they were weeks away from people seeing cuts to their benefits. So very, very scary situation back in 1983. Now we're looking at a similar situation, but we have more time. We have about 10 or 11 years before that trust fund will be depleted. And so if Congress acts now, it's going to be a benefit to those people receiving Social Security benefits because they'll be able to address the problem now and not wait until the last minute. And you wait till the last minute, and that's when you have to make drastic changes. And that's why they made drastic changes back in 1983.
For that, I'm going to follow up to Mr. Goss. How does the projected cash imbalance in 2033 compare to the imbalance in the early 1980s?
The projected imbalance in 2033, let's see, I think I actually had the numbers in the testimony here for 2035. We are at this point actually having a fairly significant imbalance in 2035, much more than was expected after the 1983 amendments. Again, really primarily for the one factor of the changing distribution of earnings in the economy. We've actually lost, as mentioned, I think Dr. Swagel mentioned earlier, we've gone from 90% down to 82% of all covered earnings being below our taxable maximum. That's an 8% reduction in the amount of revenue that we would have expected. And that cumulatively, ever since 1983, has had a major effect on the level of trust fund reserves that we have. And that's the primary reason why we have...
My time has expired. I thank the witnesses, and I thank the chair for his giving me the opportunity. Thanks so much.
Okay, so that was Representative Carrie asking questions about Social Security reform. One thing, and I had someone in the comments mention this, and it's very true. It's very true. Empty room, right? You have very few people in the room. Very few lawmakers in the room. It's like they come, they sit down, they say what they have to say, then they get up and they leave. The problem with that is you have experts there that are providing information about why this is important to reform Social Security, ways that you can reform Social Security, but you only have a few lawmakers that are actually hearing it because the rest of the lawmakers, they're off doing something else. Okay, now, This is a committee, so this is a subcommittee on Social Security. So, but they still should have everyone who is a part of that committee should be there. They should be sitting there. That way, they can hear the experts. A lot of these lawmakers will never hear these experts talk about reforming Social Security, and so how are they going to have the knowledge to sit down and make a informed decision when it comes to voting for reforming Social Security, or at least knowing the dangers of not acting to reform Social Security? So it is very troubling. It is troubling when you see these empty seats, and that's the way it is. That's the way it always is. You very rarely see a full committee hearing unless it's something really salacious or you have someone really, really important that is testifying. If you don't, I mean, when I say really, really important, I'm just saying people who are high profile. So a high profile person, if they're at the hearing and they're they're testifying, then of course you're going to have all of the lawmakers will be there. You're going to have an audience and all this. But when it comes to this, lawmakers just kind of come and go as they please. I think they need to change that. I think that in the future, we should see all the lawmakers there. That's your job. You're on this subcommittee. You need to be there. You shouldn't be off doing whatever you want to do and then come out when you have questions to answer, or to ask, and then just leave. It shouldn't be like that. It really shouldn't. So we'll have to see if they can get a little more serious when it comes to their job. But I think ultimately it's gonna be up to us. It's going to be up to us to see things like this and say, no, this is not acceptable. How are you going to help us if you don't even know what's going on. You're not an expert, so why aren't you listening to these experts explain how dire this situation is? So I want to know what you guys think, so let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.